You know, in sports, perfection it's the dream, right? But what happens when you actually get there, especially when you're only 14 years old? Well, today we're diving into the incredible story of Nadia Comăneci, a gymnast who found out that life after the perfect 10 was anything but perfect.
And it all kicked off with this number, 1.00. Imagine seeing that flash up on the scoreboard at the Montreal Olympics back in '76. The announcers, the judges, the entire arena. Nobody knew what was going on. They were just completely baffled. So how do you score something that's never, ever been done before? That was the big question facing the Olympic judges. Because this 14-year-old kid from Romania had just done the impossible. I mean, a literally flawless routine. All right, let's get right into it. The score that broke the scoreboard. So it's July 18th, 1976. Nadia Comăneci does something that no one, and I mean no one, in Olympic history had ever done before. She gets a perfect 10.0. But there's a problem. A big one. The official scoreboards, right, they only had 3 digits. Why? Because the manufacturer had literally been told that a perfect 10 was impossible, so why bother building a 4-digit scoreboard? So the judges had to think on their feet, and they flashed up a 1.00 instead, leaving everyone in the crowd scratching their heads. And here's the kicker. Just to prove this was no fluke, she did it again. And then again. By the time the Montreal Games were over, Nadia had racked up an absolutely mind-blowing 7 perfect 10s. She wasn't just winning, she was basically tearing up the gymnastics rulebook and showing everyone a whole new level of what was possible. So you have to ask, right? How does a young girl from a small town in Romania just become this global phenomenon? Where did she come from? Well, her rise was just meteoric, and the story of how she was discovered is pretty amazing. Her future coach, the famous Bella Caroli, was out looking for new talent. He spots these 2 little girls doing cartwheels in a schoolyard, just perfectly. The bell rings, they run inside, and he loses them. He literally had to go from classroom to classroom asking who are the gymnasts until he found her. From that moment, her whole life just became this series of incredible achievements, one after another, at such a young age. And all of this crazy, fast rise to the top, it sets the stage for her legendary Olympic career. And that's where she'd face off against her biggest rival, the amazing Soviet gymnast Nelly Kim. I mean, just take a look at these numbers. It's wild. 9 medals in total across 2 different Olympics, 5 of them gold. You know, in gymnastics, athletes often have this one shining moment and then they're gone. But for Nadia to dominate in both '76 and 1980, that just shows an insane level of talent, sure, but also resilience and consistency. It's just, wow. And you can really see the change in her as an athlete right here. On the left, that's the 14-year-old prodigy in Montreal who just blew everyone's minds. But then on the right, look at that. That's the seasoned 18-year-old champion in Moscow. She's got a completely different physique, and believe me, she was competing under a ton of political pressure. But all that success, it came at a pretty steep price. Life back home in Communist Romania, under the really oppressive and paranoid rule of Nicolae Ceausescu, well, it was a world away from perfect. And this quote from Nadia herself just says it all. I started to feel like a prisoner. It really captures the dark turn her life took. See, after her coaches, the Carleys, defected to the US in 1981, the Romanian government got terrified that their biggest star would be next. So here's the really twisted part. The same government that paraded her around as a national hero was also holding her prisoner. To them, she wasn't a person. She was a national asset, a symbol of their success. So her every move was watched by the secret police. She was basically grounded. Couldn't travel, couldn't even earn a living from her own incredible fame. So get this, it's late 1989, just weeks, literally weeks before the Romanian Revolution would bring the whole government crashing down. Nadia decides to make a run for it. A truly life-or-death decision. And I mean, this was no simple trip. It was a massive gamble. We're talking about a freezing cold November night. She and a small group literally walked for hours in the pitch dark, trekking across the heavily guarded border into Hungary. And from there, it was the secret journey through Austria until finally she could get on a plane to the United States, to freedom. Once she got to America, she started to build a totally new life. One that wasn't defined by scores from judges, but by her own choices, on her own terms. And after the communist regime finally fell, she was welcomed back to Romania as the national hero she always was. It's this incredible full-circle moment, right? She ends up marrying fellow Olympic gymnast Bart Connor in this huge televised wedding right in Bucharest, welcomed home by a new, free Romania. In 2001, she became a U.S. citizen, but she also kept her Romanian citizenship, which is really cool. She completely reinvented herself, you know? She became a respected coach, a philanthropist, and really a global ambassador for the sport of gymnastics. She just embraced this whole new role on the world stage. And that's really the key thing to remember here. Her impact goes so much deeper than just medals and perfect scores. She and her husband run a super successful gymnastics academy, and she's used her fame for so much good, doing tons of charity work, like funding a children's clinic back in Bucharest. When you look at her whole life, Nadia's story really makes you think about what perfect even means. Is it a flawless routine, a 10.0 on a scoreboard, or is it the resilience to build a whole new life for yourself when the world you knew just completely falls apart? Her story shows that true perfection might not be about that impossible score, but about the strength to fight for your own life against all odds.